everyone, I am Stephanie with Mid-Michigan Moms, and I am here to talk to you all tonight about the MET program. The MET program is the Michigan Education Trust program, and it is a $529 prepaid tuition plan, which allows you or whoever to pre-purchase tuition at today's rates and then your plan gets paid out at the future cost when your beneficiary decides to go to college. The reason I am here talking with you is because I myself am a MET baby, which means that my parents purchased the MET for me when I was a child, and I myself now have 3 MET babies. We just actually opened up our newest plan for a 3-month-old a month or so after she was born. So I know you guys are like, oh, here we go, talking about the college, and we have all this other stuff going on. But it's really important to know how much just putting a little away can benefit you years down the road. So I just wanted to talk with you all a little bit about why we chose the MET and some things I learned when we were researching it and just from talking with our partners over at the Michigan Education Trust. So first off, there's one beneficiary per contract. So if you have multiple kids, you open multiple contracts. There's no age restriction. I know when we did the live for a sprinkle, people were like, oh, I have a middle schooler or stuff like that. There's no age restriction. They just the MET needs to be used at their anticipated graduation date. They have 15 years from that date to use their MET program. So to get started about the MET, basically, we liked it because right now, college grows every single year by XX%, grows 50% this year. Every time you watch the news in the fall or in the spring, they talk about how every college is increasing tuition. And so with all the uncertainty in the world, I mean, we have a pandemic happening right now. We have economies that fluctuate, jobs, uncertainty. It's nice to know that you have a stable plan when your child is going to college, no matter how much rates increase. So we really like this plan because we knew that we'd be locked in with our money, even if all of a sudden numbers change drastically when they decide to go to college. So the only rule is the beneficiary child must be a Michigan resident at the time of purchase. And it's nice because this plan can be used at any in-state public university or college. So if your kid's unsure where they want to go, they have 15 academic years from their expected high school graduation rate to use the benefits. Or if you're uncertain if your child is even going to go to college, you can get a refund if you want to. So it can be transferred to an immediate family member, including siblings or cousins. And one thing I also learned in the sprinkle is if you don't use your MET, you can actually save it and transfer it to your child or to one of your grandchildren down the road. So if you say your child, because obviously you're an adult that hasn't gone to college, but if your child decides not to go to college and do something else, they can actually keep their MET plan and transfer it to their own child, which is crazy to me that I could potentially be paying for my grandchildren's tuition right now at today's rate. So that's 30, 40 years from now, they're already locked in at this cost. So another thing is people are like, oh, here we go. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for college. And that's why I think, to me, this is so important that you start younger, because you're not going to be worried about loans. You're not going to be worried about parent loans. You're not going to set your kids up to graduate with tons of debt because you can just put in little amounts right now. All you need to start a MET thing is to buy one credit. That's it. And it's $25. That's all I said. It's like an nth of a credit, but all you need is $25 to start this plan. And it's really nice. Why my husband and I liked it too is I don't like presents for my kids. I'm one of those people that were like, oh God, don't buy my kid any more presents because there's too much stuff. Anyone can purchase credits for your child. So if you have a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle who's always bringing stuff and bringing stuff and bringing stuff, you can say, hey, you know that $15 you spent on a Barbie or the amount you spent on this, you could buy credit for my child. And to a 2 and a 4-year-old, that might not seem like that huge of a deal when they get their little pre-printed paper from the Met that says you got a college credit. But I can assure you, when you're like me, 18 years down the road and everyone else is talking about their student loans and all this, and you don't have any because your parents signed up for the Met, it's like the most unbelievable gift you can actually give someone. How nice it is to say I didn't graduate with any debt because my parents saved a little here, going out to eat, save that money for once a week and invest it in your Met contract, and it'll all add up to give your kid a full thing when they graduate college. Other things why we chose the Met. Basically, you're just going to hear me talk about why we chose the Met, some benefits and things like that. I talked about how you can transfer it to your immediate family members. But another thing is I had the Met. My sister did not have the Met, which is kind of a weird thing. They would but she ended up going to an out-of-state college. And my mom actually said to me, well, good thing we didn't get the Met because your sister went to Penn State. Well, we didn't know until I started researching that you can actually direct a refund amount to any out-of-state degree granting institution or community college. So basically, they'll like take your in-state money and pay it towards your out-of-state, and then you just have to cover the difference, which is another huge thing. If you're thinking about your child, my kid might want to go out-of-state, which should be a viable option for many kids, and you don't want to feel guilty about, no, we can't do that. We're here. You lessen your amount of loans that might have to be taken in order for your child to go to college. I have my list of reasons why we went to the Met when I was reading this thing. The flexibility. I had another roommate in college whose parents didn't buy her the Met because they said, we didn't know if you were going to go to college and what we're going to do with all that money. Students have 15 academic years from the expected graduation date to use these tuition benefits. So if you have someone that decides to work or do other things or try just a hiatus on years, you don't know how it's going to be, they still can use that Met if they decide to go back to college 10 years later. Or, as we said, you can get a refund on all your money. So what I think of it as is I put so much money in my children's account each month. I'm just thinking of that as a savings plan. So if they do decide not to go to college, we're going to have that money that's been tucked away in our 529 plan for them to use for whatever they would like to do if college is not something that they'd like. And my husband loves it because we also get tax incentives. So all this money that we're putting away that we could put in a savings account or stuff like that, you get to deduct from your Michigan income tax for the year in which the contract is purchased. So you're kind of saving twofold because you're putting it in a savings account that you also get to deduct from your Michigan income tax. But then it's one of those things that you can't touch it once it's in there. So you're not going to feel like, oh, I need this money back because we want to go buy this frivolous purchase. So in my head, it's kind of a plus for us and a plus for my child. So that's how we look at it and why we decided to go the Met route. And then another question that my husband had was, well, like, what if our child receives a scholarship? If your child receives a scholarship, you can, again, refund. You can transfer it to an immediate family member. You can use it if you only get a partial scholarship for so many years. And one thing I also learned is if your child gets a scholarship for undergrad and would like to do any advanced degree, say MBA, medical school or stuff like that, they will pay towards the advanced degree, but they'll still only pay like undergraduate amount, but which is nice because people like my husband who got an MBA, had he had Met credits left over, he would only had to pay the difference between the MBA credit costs and the undergrad credit costs. So overall, when we were looking, I know there's a ton, like I said, of 529 programs. We really, really liked this because of how it was set up for college. It's not like you're investing in this or you're doing this or you're using this. It's one thing that we know we have covered for all of our kids. And so, as I mentioned, we do the pay as you go. So we just put in a little money each month. And one thing is nice is we get a quarterly and annual statement updating us on our current credit hour. Excuse me. balance. So we can actually see for our 5-year-old, we have this many credits. For our 3-year-old, we have this many credits. And obviously we don't have very many for our 3-month-old, but it's nice to know that we're paying more and more towards each of their payments. I know people are watching this and they're like, that's great and all, but what if we don't have any money or something happens or we need to empty a rainy day fund? Or right now, I mean, people are budgeting just for groceries in this because you don't know what's going to happen with the pandemic or jobs. The nice thing about the Met is you don't have to keep paying. If you want to pay right now, you can pay right now. If something happens where you need to use money you have saved for something else, you can skip a year of payments. You can skip 2 years of payments. That's a really nice plan. And then you can pick it back up when things change. But like I said, we look at it as we're just going to skip going out to eat once a month, or we're going to skip this and just lock in little by little by little and hopefully have it all completely paid in full, which is 120 credits by the time our children graduate. So, it's like a topic. I know you guys are like, oh, this lady's telling me to buy college credits, but I just want everyone to know how valuable, like we at Mid-Michigan Moms and I myself think it is to know that your child is set with Met in the future and you're not going to have all these unexpected expenses down the road that's going to affect both you and them. So I just think it's the best gift we as parents can give our children is to be set for college, to be financially not have to worry about this stuff, to start their life after college without having giant payments to make on all this schooling that they might choose. And like I mentioned, if they don't choose college, which is totally up to them, we get the money back. So we're not losing any investment that we're making on their life. And like I said, for grandparents, for aunts, for uncles, for siblings, they're also investing in my child's future. So I just really think the Met is a great program. And as a Met baby, I see the difference with a spouse who had student loan payments. I see how that's constantly playing in the back of your head of, I have this much to go, I have this much to go, I have this much to go, I have a master's degree and I have this much to go and I have this much to go. So we just really thought the Met program was a great choice for our children, and I just want to give them that gift going forward. So if you have questions about the Met, you can visit setwithmet.com. They have tons of frequently asked questions. You can call, and their staff is so helpful. I actually chatted with Diane before, and they can walk you through anything. If you come up with questions down the road, you can call them, and they're great about helping. And I know sometimes if you drop questions below this video, they'll pop in and answer them too. And if you have your own 529 programs or account, I should say, from something else or in a different state, you can actually roll that into a 529 account for whomever beneficiary is here by calling Met. So I highly recommend everyone look into it, and it's just a great program for you to ensure your child's future.